button. Are you topless on your critique with me? Because that's fabulous.
I might be. I just got back from a run.
I love it. Okay, so yep, just hit the screen share and then pick
Screen
whatever
share.
over on the left, second button.
Did you say second left?
Yeah, on the left hand side is the second button, the green one with the
Oh,
arrow.
yeah.
There you go. And then you just have to select. There we go.
Super.
Oh, I remember having a conversation about this shot.
Sharing a screen with plugins. Stop sharing. Hide. Hide. Super.
Okay, so tell me about this shot.
Okay. This is a shot I did late last year. I where should I start? I bought a ton of Duff beer last year because there's a government body in Australia that banned it because they said it was advertising to kids or aimed at kids, so they banned the sale of Duff beer. So the company that was selling it stopped restocking it and just sold what they had. So I bought a couple of cases. And after buying it, I thought, what would be a really cool product shoot to do for that would go against the government body that banned it because it was advertising towards kids. And then I thought of the great late comedian Bill Hicks and his rant about porn and advertising and his drink Coke commercial idea. And I thought I'd love to combine the two into a product shot for Duff beer and pop it on eBay, although I don't think this will be allowed to go on eBay. So yeah, it's a product shot I did for Duff Beer celebrating sex sells and marketing at kids. All the bad things wrapped into one that the government body was complaining about just for them. Not that many people probably notice the Duff Beer. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's probably an afterthought in it. But at the same time, I also think that that's exactly what a lot of advertising and marketing is. You're like, I'm sorry, what was that for again? What were
Yeah,
we advertising?
it was funny actually. After I did this, my assistant made the point that there was a few other people embracing Bill Hicks's drink Coke after it. There was Alexander Wayne commercial that has some naked girl with some jeans kind of loosely falling off her legs, but she's pretty
Mhm.
much naked. And then there was the whole Kim Kardashian break the internet thing that he pointed out that pretty much has nothing to do with anything other than porn.
Yeah. Well, and we were having a conversation about that recently in one of my other photography groups about where that line is between, um, art and porn as far as nudity is concerned. Um, and you may be skirting somewhere on the edge between the two right now. And I only say that because of the hand placement, which leaves a lot to the imagination behind the very scantily clad can of beer.
Mm.
I love the model and the tenacity. I don't think that the angle is particularly flattering to her since she obviously has fake boobs, and you have to be careful with those because the scars are on the underneath, so you can't really shoot up angles
Mm.
in them unless you want to spend some time and really retouch them out. Um, and I'm guessing she's leaning back on her far hand, which is why we're not seeing it, but it's creating this kind of amputation effect where I want to know where her other arm is. So
Mm.
I think we probably could have played around with the pose just a little bit, but I love the kind of glossy feel that you have going on her skin. I don't know if you like rubbed her down with oil or whatever, but that
Baby
high
oil.
sheen,
Yeah.
yeah, that's done really well. I think uh, a little bit of a fluctuation on the settings, and maybe kicking up um, the shutter speed and the f-stop a little bit to make it a little more contrasty. And that nice highlight that you have on her left thigh, you would have got a little bit more of that on the abs, and on some of the other muscles and down the arm where it's not quite as prominent. So I'd
Mm.
be interested to see that. But I also think that now in post, you could probably pull that out just by dodging and burning too.
Mm.
Um, I'd be inclined to retouch a little bit more along her lower abdomen. She's got, I don't know if they're like elastic lines from whatever she had on before she came into you, or just from her like sitting. Um,
Mm.
if they're just lines from like folds of the skin from her sitting in like a contorted position. But I'd like to see them retouched out as well. But I love the little bit of like cheeky attitude she's kind of throwing in her face, and I like the element of the tattoos down the sleeve of the arm. I think that's a nice touch to it as well. So, um, I'm I'm a huge advocate against spread eagle shots, but it works here because of the effect that you were going for. So I'm gonna give it a 2.
Hmm.
I think it's commendable. I don't think it's the best work that I've seen from you. I'd
Cool.
actually like to see you play around with the idea again because I think that it could be really, really well done.
So
Um,
would I. I think the one thing I forgot to do, I spent so much time trying to get that product shot right, because it's really hard to light a product and a person at the same time. I forgot, like, the one important thing I wanted from this, because it's sex sells, is she's not orgasming. I forgot to get her to orgasm. Like, I wanted the
mm,
orgasm phase, just to really punch this out. But I completely forgot about that. I was so constant focused on getting this can and the body and the lighting working between the two. So
yeah.
yes, I would like to revisit it again.
Yeah, and I would be inclined to play a little bit more with the symmetry of it. Like, I'd actually be inclined to, well, it's tough because the soda can is such a small product comparatively that I feel like if you pulled out too far, you would almost lose it entirely. So you almost
What do you
have to
mean?
stay. Like, if you pulled out so that you could have her in like some killer heels and nothing else, and do a full product or a full body shot, I feel like we would lose
Yeah,
too much of the detail. You wouldn't be able to see the logo, so it almost
yeah.
has to stay cropped in as a tight shot. I love the
Hmm.
idea of it, but I feel like with her legs out that it would work better if you actually had her sitting up and created a little more symmetry in her upper body too.
Hmm.
And I'd be more inclined to. I think her hand is competing with the soda can. Like, if you're trying to do it as a product shot, you can still have it be sex cells, but right now, the hand spreading out behind the can, I think is distracting away from it. So it doesn't look
Hmm.
like a product shot. It looks like just an attempt at implied nudity to get away with it on Facebook kind of thing, like at least on the
Hmm.
lower part. So I'd be more inclined to bring her hands up and have them, across the top of her chest. Or I would be really inclined to see if you could get away with it where you leave the can and let that be what's creating the implied nudity on the lower, and bring her hands up and have them like in her hair and across her chest so that it's implied nudity up top, and see if you could get it past the Facebook censors, because that's the mark of clever advertising and how much you can get
Getting
away with.
past Facebook.
Yeah, if you can get it past the Facebook Nazis, like then it counts as advertising.
Yeah.
But I'm
So I
also
guess
coming from America where they don't do any like full nudity advertising in like anything mainstream. So
what about Paper Magazine? Wasn't that America?
yeah, that's different though. But like as far as like actual advertising products, like we have a lot of like implied nudity, but it's very, very, very implied. It's like PG-13,
Yeah.
maybe moving up to R. Like there's no nips, there's no lips, like ever
Yeah.
whatsoever. Um, in like 98% of anything, and if it is, everybody has a freaking heart attack, and the internet breaks like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
We
Cool.
can't see butts. It's really bad. So I like that you push the envelope with that. I think that's one of your strong points as an artist.
Cool.
It should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, and your work definitely has that feel to it. So,
Cool.
all right, next image.
Next one. Okay. This was a recreation of an image someone sent me a long time ago of a similar pose, and I could never find the artist who did this because I really wanted to contact them and go how much I fucking loved the picture they did. So I wanted to, it was just basically a shot similar sort of style, two sets of legs, but it was in a bedroom and really poorly lit. And as soon as I saw it, I just I fucking love that shot, and I really wanted to take that theme and use it for all sorts of different product shots again. And I've got a mate that works in the jewelry industry, and I always remember him telling me, like he did some work for Tiffany's, and I always remember him telling me like you'd have these clients that would come in, and basically they'd roll out wads and wads of cash to get the biggest diamond to impress whoever whoever they're seeing. And there was this one guy who used to come in every Valentine's Day, or for Valentine's Day, and the biggest roll of cash would be for his mistress, and the smaller one would be for his wife. And it was all based around just jewelry equals sex. So I wanted to take this theme and play with it with Tiffany's, because Tiffany's is such a well-known brand, yet it's such a boring, ordinary brand as well. Like girls everywhere love it. I'm not too sure why, if it's because of the great movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, or just great marketing that they've done since. But and it was funny, that bag there, the Tiffany and Co bag, I bought off eBay for about $30. And when I got it at work, there was all these guys saying, "Oh, you're going to be in the good books tonight, aren't you?" Like implying that I spent all this money, and it's going to equal basically sex. But I had to come clean and say, "No, it's just a fake bag I bought for a product shot." So this was shot out the front of the Tiffany store in Sydney. And yeah, I'm just going for that idea that you walk out of Tiffany's and basically, as a guy, you expect you're going to get sex as a reward.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just caution you with these images and with you sharing them. Like you are just fiending for a lawsuit if it comes in front of the companies that you're working with, because that's not at all with their brand, and you putting their actual logos and stuff in when you're not hired by them is like just careful.
Hmm.
But at the same time, there's also that element of if you do that, well, that will suck and you will suffer for it. At the same time, that means that your work was good enough and well known enough that it ended up getting in front of the actual company. So um, it's both a
Yeah.
failure and a success in and of itself. But I don't
I'm not
recommend it.
sure about that. I thought if you use it commercially, then you can get sued. But since I'm not selling this sort of stuff, it
It's
doesn't matter.
still well, it may vary by country as well, but um, it can still be considered, defamation and, slander. And if it's not keeping true to their thing, if they think you're advertising it and it's offending their potential clients and they're losing business because of it, I mean, really, like people have won lawsuits for hundreds of thousands of dollars for coffee being hot, like,
For
you
what?
for coffee being too hot.
Oh
um,
yeah, yeah. But you always hear
so
about those companies that they had that ad pulled because the client didn't like, and then it gets leaked on the internet anyway, and it just
yeah,
creates a lot of advertising and or free press. And I don't know how many of those companies actually end up getting sued for it.
I don't know. But that said, I love the storyline that you're playing with, and that you're challenging the accepted norms, like, which it's super extra appropriate that you're doing it the day before Valentine's Day too, when everybody's getting jewelry and flowers. Um, I don't know that um, I don't know that I love or I hate the fact that you have the Tiffany's advertisement in the background with the bride, because on one hand I kind of love the fact that she's like almost giggling and she's looking right at the legs. On the other hand, I think it's distracting, and I think that this shot would actually be a lot stronger and would still have the message if you just had them against a blank wall where it was just, their feet and the box and some epic lighting. I feel like everything going on in the background is really, there's so much information that it's really distracting.
Hmm.
And I feel like just a solid wall would have actually probably been stronger, where it was like or maybe at like the foot of their bed or something, like something that plays along and adds to the story, because there aren't too many people that are um, you know dropping their clothes in front of the Tiffany's store. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think it would have added to a little bit more of the believability, and it would have made the shoes and the box the focus. Where right now I feel like everything's kind of competing with each other, so I feel like you're losing a lot of the potency that you had.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of, because of the geometry of the shapes, and I don't even know what they're standing in front of, but you have all these lines going up and down and across in front of her legs, and then the lines of the windows and the Tiffany sign, and what are they standing on? Is that like
It's
a
just a
table?
platform in front of it. It's not just a platform in front of the store. Like there's some steps that lead up to the store, to the
Okay,
main door. Yeah.
awesome. How many were you doing this like during like mall hours? Like, were you getting ridiculous looks? How did
Uh,
you accomplish this?
I was getting ridiculous looks. There's actually a funny photo on Facebook of all of us that some guy took of what it looks like, and it's very innocent. It just looks like two people standing next to each other, apart from my massive light. But I did it on a Saturday, and actually, this is a really popular area in Sydney for skaters, Martin Place. And a lot of the skaters, I was lucky, they're using flashes to take photos. So I don't think the store security really noticed our flash going. It was quite a big octabox that I was using, but I don't think they pay much attention because they're so used to the skaters being there. And right behind them, between where they're standing and that wall, there'd be skaters like jumping off these steps in between shots. So I think
Mhm.
I got a bit lucky with the store security not really paying attention, thinking, oh, just those damn skater kids, who cares? It was about, I think, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, just they were about to close, sort of thing. So things were winding up as well. But yeah, there was a lot of passing traffic, and it was one of those shoots that I planned this for quite a while. So a couple of days before I came in and I framed the shot with the bag. Then I did another shot at the beach with my brother to line up how I'd, position the legs and stuff. And because I knew I'd have to get in there really quick within, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes, take the shot and get the fuck out of there before anyone notices what we're doing, which is what we did. And so, yeah, um,
Yeah.
got away with it.
Yeah, the only other thing that I can think of is that I think it would have been um a little bit stronger too if you had had him in like some really nice expensive dress shoes and like slacks kind of thing, that he
Yeah,
looks like he's going in there with rolls of cash,
yeah,
which would also feed into the 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon going on right now, and that whole fantasy thing. Um, but I do
anything
like
in
the
art.
concept. I do like the concept. I think there's a few things that you could have tweaked that would have made it um, a lot more potent. I don't know that shooting it right outside the store totally conveyed exactly what you were after, but it definitely makes for a better story when you're talking about the image, which I'm all about. So, um, I'm gonna give you a 2 for this one. I think there are some things that could definitely be changed to make it a stronger image, but I do love the concept and I see where you were going with it, and I think that you executed it.
Cool,
So,
super.
all right, next one.
Next one. Okay, this was for a competition I did recently, which was the title was "Animals Are Awesome," and so I thought that's a bit of a weird statement to make since we treat animals like shit most of the time. So I thought I'd take it a step further and pick up my favorite can of whale from Japan that I got a couple of years ago, and get my girlfriend at the time to mimic eating some whale in the background, which is actually tuna, which was cool in the competition because everyone thought it was whale. So yeah, it worked. But no one gave a shit when it was tuna because no one cares about tuna. It's
Nice.
funny because they're actually endangered. It's worse than whale.
um, I love this as a competition photo. And I think that this works really well. Like, not knowing anything else about it or what it was for, um, this works really well as a product shot. You know, you have the person in it, you understand that they're eating, oh my gosh, it's so delicious. But she's an afterthought, she's background. Um,
Hmm.
and the focus is definitely on the can. So if we were looking for product photography as far as getting potential clients, this is your strongest shot that I've seen you bring so far. Things that I don't necessarily like, I think I think the lighting on her arm is a little bit distracting because you have that hot spot and we don't really need to be drawing attention to her elbow. I'd actually be inclined to bring that in and crop it in at like her knuckles. Um, and you have to be really, really careful with the reflective surfaces. So I feel like I love the cutoff like right above her nose of her actually, but I feel like the forehead blending into um, the can and the reflection and the plate and the way that it cuts off is a little bit awkward. So I probably would have changed the position of my lighting a little bit so it wasn't quite so reflective of her on the surface. And but I love the idea of having the reflection of the can. Um, and I may have gone in and dodged and burned around that to make it feature the can and the reflection and her to be like almost imperceivable comparatively. Um,
Mm.
it's a really, really shallow depth of field. So I would have actually liked to have seen the tuna come forward just a little bit, so that that was in the focus too, because you're making it a point to make it a point that she's eating it. Um, but I like that she herself is completely out of focus. Um, yeah, the elbow is the number one for me. That's something that if we can't tone down, I feel like we'd need to crop because your eye goes to the brightest part of the photo.
Mm.
So that's where it wants to go, and that is as far away from the can of whale that you can possibly get. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the only major flaw that I'm seeing. But overall, this is the strongest one that I've seen from you as far as a product photo. So I'm gonna give you 3 for this one.
Super. Okay, next one. This is a product shot I did last year down at the beach. Just got some of my favorite rum, which is actually tea because I'd finished a long time ago. And same with what's in the cup. And it was a bit funny when I was shooting this, there's all these people walking backwards and forwards, like looking at me as I'm throwing out the tea out of the glass, thinking, what the fuck is that guy doing, chucking out alcohol onto the ground and picking up the ice, because the ice is actually acrylic plastic crap shit, which is more expensive than the tea, hence throw out the tea, keep the ice. So it does look kind of funny with me picking up these bits of ice and getting rid of the tea. But yeah, this is a really cool afternoon sunset. Some waves crashing in the background, and yeah, I thought I'd go down to the rocks, the beach, and see what I could get. I was really impressed. This was one of my first outdoor product shots I'd tried. Um, Obviously, some difficulties in doing this sort of thing. The reflector and the strip box that I was using had to get my brother to hold at all times because there's a little bit of wind, and it's funny just how much a little bit of wind can cause dramas with this sort of stuff. So I wasn't able to get the strong gradient that I'd like usually on the product. It's not terrible. But I'd rather use butcher's paper or art tracing paper than an actual reflector to shoot through. But you do what you can. And yeah, it turned out kind of pretty cool.
Yeah, I dig this shot. This is my new favorite. Um, I would have liked to have seen, I think, the glass also be in focus, but I love that everything else is out and it's almost got this sort of monochromatic blue feel to it because of the kind of stormy skies, which I think goes really well with the rum because you have this ship that's kind of turned in
Mm,
um, wild waters. So I love the water coming up out of the frame on the one side into the rum. Um, the lighting on it's really good too. It's definitely featuring it. Like this is a really good product shot as well. Um, I think you could have just turned up the contrast just a little bit on the surface again, and accented that reflection. And I think pulling the glass a little bit closer to the bottle so that it was sharp too, I think would have been good. But overall, this is a really good product shot as well. I'm gonna give you 3 for this one too.
cool. Oh, and I'd probably change the reflective surface in future. I noticed, like, I was just fucking around with this on the day, but if you look closely, it's kind of skewed, and it makes the horizon look like it's not actually horizontal, but it is. It's just a reflective surface. It's fucked. But anyway, next one.
Next
Um,
one.
cool. Okay. This is some sort of vegan cake which contains no milk, egg, flour, or anything like that. That my vegan chef friend did at a party a couple of years ago, and I did some product shots for her. And it was actually really, really tasty, considering it doesn't have any bad, evil, fatty stuff in it. But yeah, this is at my girlfriend's parents' or aunt's place at the time, and they've got this awesome treehouse in, or yeah, uh, one of the wife is an architect, and she's made this treehouse, and it's got this awesome fireplace in the treehouse. And yeah, so I thought I was playing around with this cake against the stone floor and in front of the fireplace, and I really love the lighting in this. How just little bits of that the flame from the fireplace are just highlighting parts of the cake very very subtly. But yeah, it's I really like this one.
I do too. It's very almost like medieval,
Mm,
um, and I like it. I love the texture that you're getting on the crust and the little flecks on the top of the cake is definitely appealing. I love the shallow depth of field. I love the warmth of it. I love the element of the fire, but I feel like there's a lot of negative space between the edge of the pie and where the fire starts. I'd actually be inclined to crop it as maybe like an 8 by 10
mm,
and pull that fire down. Like I'd be inclined to like select it and pull it down so that the fire's like directly in front of it, like halfway down instead of having that negative space. I'm not sure what the black thing is coming in
just because
off the
you're getting
side.
near the fire. It's one of those fire guard things, so you don't fall in
Yeah,
the fire.
yeah. So that's distracting for me. I'd probably want to take out just just like the rods part of it. Um, and I think if you had gotten down just a little bit lower and closer to the cake, that would have closed the distance between the fire and the top of the cake for you. Some of that's just angle, but the lighting on it's beautiful. I love the texture. It looks really delicious. I just feel like as far as product photography goes, while I totally understand and would have been right with you with getting some of the fire elements in the background, I feel like for this one, the background isn't interesting enough to give it half of the billing for the
Mm,
photograph. Like it takes up more than half of the space, and it should have been more of the cake. So I'd be inclined
mm,
to crop it really low, um, almost even to crop it as a landscape instead of a portrait, and make it just about the cake or the pie. Um,
mm-hmm.
but that said, I totally want to eat it, so it's a success.
Oh, it's
um,
bloody tasty too.
yeah, so nah, you're like between a 2 and a 3 on this one for me. I really, really
Give it a
like
five.
it. Yeah, okay, I mean that's fair. um, I'm gonna give it a 3 because I really do like this one too, and it does make me want to eat it. So that's a success as far as product photography if you're doing food because I
Mm,
totally want to cut into it. So um, bravo. That's all 5, right?
yeah.
Okay, so you can click off the screen share, and that brings you through the foundation levels. You kind of fell off the earth a little bit there. You've had all kinds of stuff going on. How are you feeling now 10 levels into the Arcanum?
Okay, I guess. I'm not too sure about direction because it takes me a long time to do the stuff that I'm really passionate about and a lot of money. And then I think, fuck it, I should just like try and find something that makes money that's not weddings and kids and do that, and then worry about doing the stuff I'm really passionate about when I have enough money to do it.
Okay, well, let's talk about that because Sphere 1, everybody's had custom sphere maps built for them. So everybody, well, in the first 10 levels, everybody was kind of doing their variation of the same thing. nobody's doing the same thing in Sphere 1. Everybody's building towards what it is they're trying to accomplish on personal levels now. So I think it's going to be a lot more appealing to you individually, because you are where you are is very different than anybody else in the Arcanum. Like some of them are kind of coinciding and along the same realms, and then Dark's like way over here, like, which I like. That's part of why I picked you, because you are so unique, and I think that that's a really strong marker for an artist. Like that's what makes them. So, you said you want to be able to shoot what you're really passionate about. What is it that you're really passionate about?
Telling stories like contemporary stories about our society, poking fun at stupid injustices and stuff, making people think, making people have a reaction whether they hate it or they love it. Yeah, slapping people in the face a bit. Yeah.
Well, your work definitely does that. So you brought a couple of each. Like you had a couple that were kind of poking fun and pushing those boundaries a little bit, and then you had the product photography. So we're staying away from weddings and children. Do we want to get into product photography, or would you like to do just the stories?
Um, I like. I find product really challenging, and I think it's probably more of a way that I can make an income, which I could use towards doing the other stuff that I want to do later on. Like I think
Okay.
the stuff that I'm really passionate about, I'm not going to make money from it. It's personal. Yeah, it's not something I'd really think about selling.
But if you could, is that what you would want to do?
Maybe, but things like, for example, that Duff beer, I'm never going to sell that because I'm pretty sure that's when I'd get sued. Same with the Tiffany's. A lot of the stuff is me saying something, like it's about expressing myself. I don't really care about making money from that sort of stuff, but it costs money
Okay,
to make it.
fair enough. Um, so so product photography then, that's where we want to go. Because
Hmm.
the idea is to be able to make money full time with your camera, yeah?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of product work? If I can snap my fingers and make sure that by the time you leave level 20 that you're making exactly the amount of money you want to be making, doing exactly what you want to do, what does that look like?
In terms of product photography, probably
In
food
terms of
production.
anything. I mean, it doesn't have to
Just
be. It can be whatever you want it to be. Like you're always saying, like send me 10,000 US dollars. Like if I was going to do that every month for the rest of your life, what would you want to do with your time?
that's easy. I'd just be shooting the stuff that I'm really passionate about, like the Duff beer, the Tiffany's, all the other things I've got planned, but I realize it costs money to do. Like the
Okay.
the Duff beer was friggin' expensive,
Why?
and that's why like it's taking me a long time to reach this point. So like a lot of the stuff things that I've got planned are going to cost significant amounts of money that I just can't drop every week or so.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the Duff shoot. What were some of the expenses associated with that?
Studio $200, makeup $100, model $400.
You know, I've never paid for a model, right?
Yeah, cool.
Um, which I'm not opposed to. Like, I'll make sure that the models are compensated when I'm working with other clients, but um, I think that a lot of your expenses could probably be significantly downsized to allow you to be able to shoot more of what you're passionate about in quicker succession with lower budgets.
Hmm.
Is there, talk to me a little bit about that.
I don't know. Like one of the shots, the next shot I had planned was two gay guys kissing, which it's surprisingly hard to find male models that are comfortable with kissing another guy. And I would have thought there's a lot of gay models out there, but yeah, it's surprisingly not that easy. And I imagine I'm just gonna have to pay a couple of models however much money it's gonna take them to kiss another dude.
Okay, fair enough. I wonder what the going rate is for kissing another dude.
Kissing another dude, I'm gonna
Yeah.
come back and tell you.
Is that gonna be like the casting call? Like, I need a dude to kiss another dude.
Why not? Yeah. How
Budget
much does it take you to
negotiable.
kiss another dude? No tongue included.
Awesome.
It's
Um,
surprising girls seem to be quite comfortable with a lot of that, like implied lesbian or even lesbian stuff, but guys are friggin' prudes.
well, girls are more physically um affectionate in general. Like girls hug and it's like, oh, I love you, miss you. And we're like, guys are like, what's up, bro? Like, you know.
I hug my
So,
friends.
yeah, but it's if you watch the next time you go out with a bunch of your friends, how girls hug each other and girls and how the guys hug each other and how different it is. Like it's just a totally different ritual. I'm gonna tag you in my photo because I was just making fun of that the other day. Um, but still, I feel like it just depends on where you want to put your focus because either you can do a little bit more legwork to find the people that you want to work with, or you can invest the money if you don't want to invest the time. So it just depends on which has greater value to you. But if I work with you on being able to build more of a following and a collection of potential models and hair and makeup artists and stuff, then would you rather put a little bit more time into doing the legwork to get them in if it was saving you the money that you're investing?
Say that again?
If I could work with you and part of Sphere 1 for your map was building you a good collection of models to pull from and hair and makeup artists and other people to work with you on set at
Hmm.
lower or time for print rates,
Yeah.
then would you rather put in a little more time to not have to
Yeah.
invest that money?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But then I think if I come up with an idea that's like that Duff beer, there's hardly anyone that would have gone in for that style of shoot that I was after for time for print.
No, I don't agree. I can well, and no, I don't agree. I don't agree. Because I can think of three of the girls on my friends list off the top of my head that would have came in and been like, I'm all about it. It's just about finding your people.
Yeah.
Um, and they're out there. So we'll have to look into a couple of different places. Like where are you usually getting your models from?
I guess Model Mayhem.
You're getting them from Model Mayhem and you're paying them upwards of $400 to come in and
Well,
shoot.
that was a bit different because it was like an erotic shoot. I wouldn't pay them $400 usually, but yeah, for something like that. And that
Okay.
was, it was, I think it worked out to less than 150. It was 150 an hour, but she made it 400 because it was 3 hours.
Right. Okay.
But it's like it's not even like the models. I agree, I could probably get them down a lot more. I wouldn't usually be doing stuff like that. But yeah, anytime I want to use a studio, it's like $200, slap it down. That's kind of even that's kind of frustrating.
What about shooting at home?
I don't have a lot of space at home. And especially if you need a lot of lighting. So, like the good thing about that studio is there's tons of friggin' lights to use, which is awesome. Good lighting, or yeah, fairly good lighting.
Okay.
Like I've got a light or some lights, but yeah, nothing compared to that studio.
Okay, so part of running the studio is you have access to all the lighting as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you said that studio is like 200 a day?
For that's for the evening, so it's for 3 or 4 hours. It's $200.
Okay. Um, okay. Good to know. All right. So have you heard of Humans of New York?
Nope.
Okay, so that's gonna be part of your Sphere 1 too, is going to look up this guy. So this guy started taking photos and he just literally like started walking around New York and whenever he saw somebody interesting that spoke to him in whatever way, he would go up and ask them if he could photograph them and ask them what their story was. And then he would post a photo and um, write a little blurb about what their story was. And that's his thing. It's not the kind of thing that anybody thinks they can make money at. He wasn't making any money from it. It was just something he was doing. And it
Hmm.
started gaining such a big following. Now he's got hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of followers, and he's been featured on like major TV shows and networks and things around here, and now he's commanding all kinds of ridiculous prices for people hiring him to shoot because of
Mm.
this connection he has with people. I think that you have the ability to do the same thing because you're not afraid to express the unpopular viewpoints, and you're not afraid to make people a little bit uncomfortable. And I think that that's something that's actually really rare. Artists are usually very moody, and they're very sensitive, and they're very concerned about what everybody thinks about them. Um, so they have a hard time being brave and going after wanting to shoot their art, let alone not only going out and saying, hey, I'm an artist, but I'm the artist that's going to throw all the things that you don't want to look at in your face in a very artistic way that makes you sort of come to terms with everything that makes you uncomfortable. You know, and you do it in a way that people can't ignore it. And I think that's going to be, like you said, you know, people are going to love it or they're going to hate it, but nobody's going to feel neutral about you, which is a very, very strong motivator, because even if they go to your images, and they will, and they'll be like, oh my God, did you see that Tiffany's photo or that Duff Beer? It was so tasteless. He's just a pornographer. They're going to call you all kinds of names because they do that with mine, and I think mine are pretty tame in comparison.
Mm.
Um, you know, but if they're doing that, they're talking about you, and that's going to open up to other things. So I've had other people do that where they tag my page and they're like, what did they, the most recent one I got called a bosom heaving water. I don't even know what that is, but it sounded really good. Um, and because she put this tag up and tagged my page complaining about me, I got like 28 new likes, and they were all friends of hers who were like, who's this girl she's talking about? And they loved the work.
Mm.
So I think that you have the ability where, if this is really what you want to be doing and what you want to be shooting all day, that if you get creative with the amount that you're investing right now, um, which, like the Tiffany's one, you went and shot in the mall, like, and a
Mm.
lot of the images that you brought to level 4 critique, like, they were on location. So if you could find a way around that where you were investing little more than your time and you were building a good connection with a group of people where you were putting out a lot of stuff, I think that you would build a very strong following very, very quickly. What do you think?
I guess yeah, it's worth a shot.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit um, about the product photography. Do you have a good basis for that? Are you getting work regularly for shooting that?
No, not really.
Okay. Is that what we're looking to do?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not
Um,
fine working.
so in an ideal scenario, how much money would you like to be making a month from your photography?
From my photography, about $1 million.
A month?
Yeah, why not?
Maybe let's start a little bit lower to get started, and we'll work up to that.
Okay.
Like,
All right, let's
ideally
go.
though, like, um, right now you're not doing solely photography right now, are you?
Nah, no, no. I work in IT.
Okay, so if you were gonna quit your job today, and do nothing but photography, how much would you have to make in order to maintain your current lifestyle?
Oh, I don't know, 10 grand a month.
10 grand? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many days do you want to be shooting?
Uh, I don't know, 5?
5 days a month
I
or a
was gonna
week?
say 5 days a week.
Okay.
5 days a week, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. We're just getting estimates right
Couple
now.
times a week, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. When you're doing product photography, like if you were hired by the company to create those rum photos, about how long are you spending between shooting and editing, would you say?
Shooting's only like maybe 2 hours max. Editing is
Okay.
God knows I hate editing. It takes me forever.
Have you thought about working with a retoucher?
Yeah, actually, I have. I could probably get my ex to do that.
Okay. Okay. Have we thought about stock photography at all?
A little bit. I've like browsed it a couple of times and see they pay absolute shit and going, oh fuck that.
Okay.
But I haven't really investigated it further than clicking a couple of sites and seeing how little they pay and go, wow, that's terrible.
Okay.
But
So
it is what it is.
if you were creating shots, like we'll use the rum shot for example. If you were creating shots like that and were able to put them up and have people license them for, maybe we'll say somewhere between 75 to $250 each, depending on what they were using. So,
Mm.
and if multiple people could license it, if you could get 4 people to license it, it would be $1,000 for that image. All the
Mm.
images that are sitting on your hard drive right now that you haven't made money off of, would you be interested in putting them up for licensing where people can go and look for them, kind of like stock?
The product stuff, yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. What else? From where you are now to where you want to be, what are we missing? What are you trying to accomplish?
Um, get paid shitloads and shoot what I want to shoot.
Okay. How about on the artistic side? Are you happy with where you are? You don't like retouching, so I think it's best to outsource that. Are you happy with um, where you are as far as photography goes and understanding lighting and
Not
are
really.
th
Like with that Duff beer, it's quite difficult to light combining product and a person at the same time. And like I said, the I think her name Chantel was in makeup for an hour, and in that whole hour, I was fucking around in the studio getting the lighting just right, which I'd much rather know beforehand, and spend 5 minutes getting the lighting set up, and then talk to my model and makeup artist instead of fucking around with the lighting for such a long time. So lighting is still a challenge for me.
okay. Okay. I think I have enough to build your Sphere 1 map. So basically you have two options. I think a Sphere 1 map custom designed is probably the way to go, but the Arcanum also built out the first 20 levels, so you can also just follow the Arcanum guide. What I want to do is I'm going to send you an invite to the Sphere 1 community and the chat so you can hop in there. And I want you to just kind of take a look around at the other apprentices that are already in there and see how their Sphere maps look so you can kind of get a feel for what we're doing. And then I want you to drop me an email um, and just touch base with me about the Arcanum so far and House Lark and what you love and what you hate and what needs to be changed, and what you're looking for it to be different going into the next 10 levels. And then I'm going to, once you're in the Sphere 1 community, you want to go over to the discussion board that's labeled the Wishing Well, and take a look around there. That's your first assignment. I think you'll have fun with that one.
Cool.
So, is there anything else that you wanted to touch base about? Questions, comments, concerns?
Can't think of anything. I'm still buggered from this run. I'm hoping this video is going to be available for me to watch it again because I'm probably going to forget all this because I'm about to die.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for taking the time and sitting down in spite of your run. And it will be available. We'll go through.
Sure.
But just drop me a text or something when you feel like it. If you want, you can just send me your review via Hangout too. That's fine.
Okay.
The important thing is just to get it to me.
Cool. I don't
So.
suppose you have any tips for getting studios for cheap or free?
It really depends on what you're able to offer them. It's more a lot of places will run it for a couple of hours or for the day if they're running it. There's also other photographers that have like collaborative studio space. So
That's actually something that I found really frustrating with the Arcanum. I thought it'd be really cool in the Arcanum if there's other people in Sydney, because the studio I'm hiring is quite a big studio, and I've hired it with about 5 other photographers before having 3 different people shooting at the same time. And I thought the Academy would be a really cool resource to find other like-minded people who have this maybe the same issue and share the costs of a studio at the same time. But it's been really frustrating to try and find those people because the Academy is not really set up to find other like-minded people.
Okay, so now that you are crossing to level 10, which I will move you, I'm going to move you up to it preemptively. You're not supposed to get in until you write me this review, but I'm going to trust that you're going to do it. But once you cross level 10, you get invited to something called the Artist Atrium, and it connects you to all of the other apprentices in the
Mm.
Arcanum, including the ones that are in your area. So you can literally just go into the community and say, hey, I'm from here. I'm looking for good studio space. What do you guys have? Are you guys connecting? I'm looking for whatever, and they'll all touch base with you. And most of the masters now are in there too, so you can touch base with other masters that are a little more local to you as well.
Hmm. Cool. That sounds awesome.
So, and I know that they are working, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to anyway. I know that they're working on it in the actual Arcanum app and stuff as they're building like the algorithms and things so that you can, like we have our House Lark map where everybody is. They're looking at doing that to actually connect everyone so you could just look for people that are nearby you.
Do you know how far off they are making a forum?
I don't.
'Cause that's definitely something that's missing.
A forum as far as for you guys to chat back and forth.
Post stuff. Yeah, post stuff. Like, oh, I'm doing a shoot here. I need an assistant, or looking for a location to do this sort of shot, or I want to buy a new camera. Give me some recommendations, or what lighting should I buy? All that sort of shit, photography related
Yeah,
stuff.
so the artist atrium, there's a lot of that going on in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super.
that's a lot of it. So as soon as you go to level 10, it's within a week of you crossing that level 10 threshold. They're pretty good. It's usually like 1 to 2 days, but they say up to a week. It just depends on how many people are graduating all at once.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out for the invite to that community. That'll connect you to a lot of people and go from there. So I think you'll find
One
that a lot
minute.
more enjoyable. So,
Yeah.
all right, you go and do your thing, and we'll do this again at level 14.
Rock and roll. Thanks, Jess.
All right, talk to you later.